My meta ad predictions for 2026, what looks like it's staying, what's changed, what to expect, how you can adapt to any changes. Also, what I'm seeing working right now in February 2026 as I record this. Strap in. If you've been running ads, whether it's for 2 months, 2 years, or 12 years like I have, you'll know that boy, do they like to keep us on our toes. So in this episode, I'm excited to break down, based on all of the research that I've been doing, based on all of the activity I'm seeing in all of the accounts I'm in, including my own ads, what looks like we're shifting towards this year, what we need to embrace, what we need to let go of, and how we can find success with our ads for the year ahead. All right, let's get started. Hi, welcome to the Online Store Success Podcast. I'm your host, Jody Minto, an e-commerce coach and meta ads specialist. Each week, I share with you practical strategies to help you grow a profitable online store that runs in school hours and supports your lifestyle. Let's get into it. Facebook and Instagram ads, love them or hate them, we kind of need them in our e-commerce businesses. And in my case, in my business too, for core sales and coaching. Because why? They are so powerful in introducing our business, our products, our services to new audiences each and every day, landing in their feed where they are based on what they're searching for and what they're interacting with online, right? It's super, super powerful. And honestly, I've seen no other lever like it. The only anomaly where you might not need meta ads is if, and I'm talking about from an e-commerce lens, is if you are a big personality, you are some sort of influencer or blogger or celebrity where you have this pull that you can tell people what to buy from you without having to rely on ads. Yes, you're doing social media, no doubt, but maybe not paid. They are often the folks that I see not needing it and say, no, you don't need meta ads. Or I see other businesses, types of businesses say, no, you don't need meta ads, who don't have an e-commerce store, right? So they are crucial. I can't, I'm sure, convince you anymore. You've probably experienced it. You've probably gone through ups and downs where you're like, that's it, I'm turning off all my ads and seeing what happens. And what happens is that all of the traffic and sales slows down and you're like, oh, okay, back on the wagon I get. So it's been a wild ride, even the past 12 months. Look, let's face it, the last 5-6 years has been a wild ride. So many algorithm updates, so many privacy setting changes, all of the different things, right? I know there's lots of 2016, let's go back in time posts on social media right now. Like imagine if we were doing that with our Facebook ads too. Like so different what we are doing today than what we were doing 10 years ago, but what we were doing 5 years ago or even 5 months ago. We've got this new Andromeda out and things just keep changing. So today I want to share with you what I believe are my predictions on what meta ads is going to look like in 2026 for the product-based business owner and how we can succeed, how we can make them work for us as while in one parallel, things are getting easier as far as automatic settings and not having to do the way things that we did previously, like, deep diving into interest-based audiences, for example. But on the other hand, and the other parallel is that it feels kind of harder because it's so content focused, which I'm going to talk more on in a minute, but also because it definitely does feel like we're throwing spaghetti at the wall a lot of the time because we think we're doing what we should be doing and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. What I'm also seeing is that nothing's consistent across accounts. What's working well in one account might not be working well in another account. Okay, so anyway, let's get to the point. While you're here, let me start with my number one prediction around what I think will be happening this year. Advantage Plus as your baseline for all of the accounts I'm in. An Advantage Plus sales campaign is the only type of sales campaign you can have. There has been some debate. I've had some heated debates about many things, but particularly about whether or not manual sales campaigns still exist. I know I haven't seen one for a long time, right? The option where you press purchase or sales and then you get to choose between Advantage Plus or sales. Manual sales. I believe when people say using manual sales campaigns versus Advantage Plus is more about the audience setting. I believe they're referring to that Advantage Plus audience versus a manual audience, because, correct me if I'm wrong, if you still have the option of creating a manual sales campaign, please DM me and let me know, because I'd love to know, because like I said, many heated debates going, no, they don't exist anymore, they've been retired, and people saying, yes, no, they are. But what does this mean exactly? It means that it's fairly straightforward when it comes to clicking the buttons to build our campaigns. We're using an Advantage Plus shopping or sales campaign, and we are using all placements, so Advantage Plus placements. And when it comes to the audience, you can be using an Advantage Plus audience, or you can manipulate that to be a different sort of audience, whether it's interest-based or manual, a broad audience and manual audiences. This is where I believe people are referring to when it comes to the manipulation of the audience and not just doing Advantage Plus. Because for most of my clients, and even for my own ads, I do come in and manipulate the audience to create a broad audience based on the countries I want to advertise in, as well as the gender and the age. I myself am not using any interest-based at all. Most of my clients are not using any interest-based audiences at all. Maybe from time to time, if they want to try it to see if that can lift performance, by all means, you can certainly try it. But it's not the main lever that we go to pull when things aren't working, usually. In fact, the lever that is the most important is now our ad creative itself. The ad creative, that is the words, the headline, the primary text, the video, or the image, is what does the targeting for you. I have been talking about the fact that this is the case for, I feel like it's been 2 years. Only now is everyone else also coming out and going, yeah, actually, you're right. Yep. Like it has been the case for quite some time. But it's more important than ever. The ad creative and whether it appeals to your desired audience is what will make or break your ads. The button pushing and the settings and things like that have become fairly straightforward. It's building this creative and getting into the mind of your avatar, your ideal customer, and building ads for them that will stop the scroll and encourage them to come across and then buy from your ads. Something I really, I guess a bit of a tangent I want to go on here, is that we also have to remember that our meta ads or any kind of advertising or marketing is only one side of the coin. Its job is to bring people to your website, right? Once they get to your website, then that's the other side of the coin. That's on you and your website optimization, your product page optimization, whether you've got reviews, product descriptions, size guides, all those kind of different things is up to you to make the conversion. Facebook or any kind of your advertising introduces the person to you and asks them to click over to your website. Then it's up to you to make the conversion. So we just have to remember that, because a lot of people that I do often work with, particularly in my courses, come to me and say, my ads are not working. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. What's happening? Talk me through it. And then, the ads we've got all of those looking okay. The ad creatives are right. And we have a look on the product page and they're selling ladies fashion and there's no size guide. There is no information about the fabrication. They only sell up to a size 12. And, it's 3 times the price of someone else's product. Your ads can't fix a conversion problem, right? So it's always really important to remember, if your ads aren't doing well, we can certainly troubleshoot those and look at those, but we also need to come over to your product page and your website to figure out how can we optimize our chances of converting someone. So prediction number 1 is this automation and Advantage Plus as your base is going to be, if it's not already rolled out in all accounts, like I said, I feel like it has, will be very, very soon. This will mean we'll also have fewer campaigns and ad sets and be looking to do more sort of all-in-one kind of setups, right? This is another hot topic or debate on the structuring of your account. And again, I'm not seeing anything consistently work well in one account versus another. So this is all about trial and error, and also thinking about how you would like to structure your account, what your filing system looks like, and so on and so forth. So what I'm talking about exactly is, are we having just one campaign with lots of ad sets in it and then ads within the ad set? Or are we having lots of campaigns with just one ad set in it and then a bunch of ads underneath it? Test both. And that includes testing both CBO, i.e. campaign budget optimization, where you're saying, hey, Meta, use this $200 a day and go for your life. Anything within this campaign, regardless of how many ad sets or ads are in there, you distribute the daily spend. Versus our ABO, which is where we might have one campaign and let's say we've got 5 ad sets sitting underneath it. Each of those ad sets has their own ads under it, and then you dictating ad set 1 can have $50 a day, ad set 2 can have $30 a day, ad set 3 can have $40 a day, and so on and so forth. So it's worth testing both in your account because there isn't, in my experience, any blanket rule around what's working better and what's not. But we've got to lean into this automation and this optimization around using the best practice settings that Meta would like us to use, but in a discerning way. So things like the Advantage Plus creative enhancements, I don't know anyone who particularly likes them. I hate them. These are the settings that will add on music to your ad, even though you really don't like the happy birthday music on your ad selling dog products. Or it can change your words, or it can add in backgrounds and things like that. This is one of the automations, the Advantage Plus automations, that I suggest turning off, unless of course you like them. But everything else, we're sort of just following the prompts as far as pushing the right buttons to build the campaign. It's thinking about the overarching structure and what your business objectives are, what your goals are, what it is you're promoting, and so on and so forth around how you structure your account. Okay, so prediction number 2 is it's all about the creative and the product positioning. This is what is the biggest determining factor in your cost per sale and your return on ad spend, or your ROAS. For e-commerce, your creative is your targeting. We do not need to go down rabbit holes of obscure interest-based audiences, trying to figure out whether they like yoga but they don't like Pilates, and they like white wine but they don't like red wine, and then adding those inclusions and exclusions and then showing them a very ordinary ad, because that used to work. It doesn't anymore, unfortunately. Instead, we need to make sure that we are really having a clear understanding of our customer avatars, even the sub-avatars, so for example, if you are selling as far as a sub-avatar, right? Children's or babies' personalized rompers. This is one of my mastermind clients. So she would have different customer avatars within that. There is the mum buying for her own baby, ready ahead for perhaps leaving hospital, or baby's first photos. But there's also the gifters. There is the grandparents buying for their grandbaby, or there is the auntie and uncles, or there is the colleagues from work buying, right? So there's all these different sub-avatars or sub-ideal customers that could potentially buy your product. So we need to understand exactly what that looks like for your business, what their pain points are, or what problems or transformations it is that you provide them, and then tailoring our creative to each of them and testing them. It's not about we're just going to select grandparents in the interest-based audiences or as like a demographic and then just showing them a personalized baby romper and letting the audience make the assumption. I was like, oh, this is for your grandbaby because we selected grandparents. No, you have to spell it out in the ad. So your ads are being scanned by Meta, the words, the headlines, the image or the video, like what's in it, and it's getting signals from that scan as to, okay, this is selling baby products that might be suitable for grandparents, and then it will start showing it to them without you actually clicking the button. So we need to really embrace that, which I know for most people feels heavy because it's more work, right? Selecting those interest-based audiences was easier than really getting on our marketing hats and our copywriting hats and thinking about who our ideal customer is and how we're helping them. That takes longer and more thought. But unfortunately, that's the way that this is moving, this Meta ads, and any kind of advertising is moving, right? Okay, so my next prediction. Before I share my next prediction, I want to invite you to a free masterclass I'm hosting this week, depending on when you're listening to it. It is for e-commerce product-based business owners, and I'm going to share with you the 5 big Facebook ad mistakes that are costing you money and, of course, how to avoid them. It's happening Thursday, the 5th of December, 10:30 a.m. Sydney, Australia time, and in this power-packed masterclass, I'm going to share with you the most common mistakes I see product-based founders making with their ads. I'm also going to show you what is working right now. And then I'm also going to talk to you about what to focus on to turn your ads around and finally start getting those consistent sales rolling in. It's totally live. It's totally free. There will be a Q&A at the end, so you can ask me any questions there, and there'll also be a very special invitation if you would like my help in your ads at the end too. So be sure to check out the show notes and save your seat, or come over to my Instagram account and comment masterclass on any old post at all, and I will DM you the link to register. My next prediction is that there will become more and more tools available for us that help us build these creatives. For those who've been following along the podcast for a while, I'm actually doing a marketing degree in the background. I've got 2 subjects to go. And one of the assignments I had to do last year was I came up with this concept of a software tool, a bit like Canva, but it plugs into your ads manager and it builds ad creatives for you on scale, because this, as per my previous prediction, is one of the most time consuming and painful parts. Now, this was just a concept. I don't have any desire in building such a thing, because there are some already there, and I think they'll just get better and better, and there'll be more available to us to help speed up this process. So this prediction around AI helping us speed up this ad creation testing will be something that will be really good, whether it's within Meta or whether it's a third-party tool. But it's certainly something that I think we'll see more and more of, and hopefully we'll get some good ones that don't look super AI or with weird backgrounds to help us scale and test new ad creatives more regularly. Because ideally, we would be all creating a handful of new ads every single week. Say, like, for example, we test and launch them on a Monday. We see how they go to the end of the week and then make a decision based off that. For most people, myself included, I'm also guilty, is that we create ads about once a month. You know, we might create 3 new ads and go, well, that'll do. And you run those alongside other ads that may have had good results, or they may be just keeping their head above water, but we're certainly not creating enough because it's time consuming, right? And we're running a business. We've got 5,000 other things we've got to do. So I think there'll be more and more of these AI tools and third-party tools that will help us create hopefully good ads that talk to all of those avatars and help us launch and test new creatives faster. My 4th prediction is that our first-party data and our lifetime value of our customers will become more and more important in helping us reach the right people. So alongside of our ad creatives being scanned and sending signals to Meta as to who we are looking to attract to our brand, having that first-party data is more and more important. For those of you on Shopify, if you're in e-commerce, you probably are, or no doubt have the integration from Meta to your Shopify store. But I don't know if you've seen, I know I've seen it everywhere all over the internet, but if you have not seen, Shopify have just made some sneaky changes in the back end of your settings as far as how much data they're sending to Meta. If you go on over to your Shopify, go to your settings, and it's under customer events, have a little look in there to see what is showing for Meta and even Google Ads and other things like that. So we used to be sending absolutely everything across through this native integration between Meta and Shopify, but now it's flicked automatically to optimized, which means it's not necessarily sharing absolutely everything. So it's a really important step. Go and have a look at that at your settings and go and change it to always on or whatever the terminology is. But we want to be tracking everything because it becomes more and more important. Also, having some of those different buyers or repeat buyers, your list, your best customers uploaded into your ads manager as custom audiences, and from time to time testing different ads to them. And of course, making sure that you've got those audience settings set up. I believe it's under all tools that signifies and it allows you to break down your results based on new customers, engaged audiences, and existing customers, making sure all of those kind of settings are connected. But we want to make sure that you are definitely connected and sending as much information between the platforms as possible in order to help find your customer. Another point or another tip here is that using that breakdown menu, assuming you have already set up those audience segments, that you are checking it. And if you're finding that your ads are doing a lot of retargeting within them, if you're using, say, a broad audience, you might want to start using some exclusions of recent customers or even recent traffic. I've got a couple of clients right now where we have this problem where we're not bringing in enough new customers. And what we're seeing inside of their ads is, like, on the surface, their ads look really good, but we're not using any exclusions. We're using broad audiences. When we hit that breakdown option and we're seeing a lot of the ad spend, or even like the bulk of the ad spend, is going to retargeting within that campaign, and we just keep showing up to the same people over and over again. So go in and have a look inside of your ads manager, see if that is happening. And if so, any new campaigns you build, I would recommend testing some exclusions around like your warm existing audiences, so that we can ensure that our top of funnel cold prospecting audiences or campaigns are doing mostly that, and not splitting it half and doing half retargeting without you actually realizing. My fifth prediction is that ugly ads, I think, will continue to do better and better. I think we've seen the heyday of super glossy editorial style looking ads convert. Instead, what we're seeing is more UGC or founder led content, or like grainy behind the scenes kind of stuff convert much better than the polished looking stuff. Now, by all means, we test both, right? But I know for a lot of swimwear brands I've worked with, for example, that have all these beautiful campaign imagery, like it just doesn't convert in our ads. And I think we'll lean more and more towards that, where people want to get a feel for what it's like on a real body that's not super glossy, that they can relate with, that doesn't feel like it's this big polished shiny photo shoot where then they're going to get the product and go, oh, well, no wonder it doesn't look any good on me. So I think we'll see more of that. And as long as we are talking to and supporting whatever that grainy or behind the scenes or whatever it might be style imagery is, as long as we're supporting it with words that talk to that customer, that says, you know, hey, this is like our, you know what I mean? Like, I won't go into copywriting, but talking about the transformation, talking about why you're different, talking about how life-changing your product might be, or even if it's just changing their day. Because remember, for a lot of fashion and accessory brands, it's just a purchase, often an impulse purchase, that makes them feel good. It's a bit of a dopamine hit and they're excited when they get it, right? So maybe even talking to that, a bit of dopamine dressing, or need a little pick-me-up, here's an affordable little way to treat yourself, right? But it's making sure that they align, they're talking the same language, that if we are showing an image of someone trying it on in the mirror themselves and going, hey ladies, what do you think about this? That the copy is in line with that, so that it's aligned. But I do believe we will continue to see the more glossy stuff looking less successful as far as behind in an ad campaign. Interesting parallel here is that I'm seeing a lot of my colleagues in the coaching space do a lot of podcast episodes where they're hiring these professional looking studios and things like that. And I've always sort of in two minds, right? I'm like, oh, maybe I should do that first and foremost. Maybe I should do that, because there's that FOMO. But then also thinking about how I listen to podcasts and things like that, and even how I like to, if I am watching some sort of educational piece on YouTube and stuff, I don't really love the glossy podcast studio look, right? Like, it doesn't really appeal to me. I feel it kind of feels a bit flat and boring. So I think it's the same sort of thing when it comes to our product-based businesses, that people don't necessarily want to see your e-commerce photos that are just like someone wearing a product in a studio with a white background, or they don't want to see like something that looks like it should be in a magazine. It doesn't necessarily cut through and stop the scroll and build that emotional connection. So just something to think about, how you yourself respond to different types of content, and how, based on your marketing activities, how your customers are responding to it. And maybe you need to shift gears. Maybe you don't need to have all these big expensive photo shoots and content days and things like that. If you're finding that you yourself doing a video of the products as you're packing them is converting better. I hope you found these predictions helpful, as well as the tips and tricks I've shared along the way. If you would like my help in your ads or in your e-commerce business, be sure to check out the different ways we can work together at jodiminto.com. If you want to come along to that masterclass happening this week, be sure to check out the show notes and come and register your spot. I also want to let you know that the doors to Ecom Ads Academy are open, and our next live round starts the 16th of Feb, so just a couple of weeks away. It is a jam-packed program. You get my eyes on your ads for 8 weeks. There's live reviews. There's all of the different things. Be sure to check out that program as well over at jodiminto.com. All right, that's it for me this week. I look forward to chatting to you again, same time, same place next week. Bye for now. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Online Store Success with me, Jodi Minto. If you loved it, please share it with your friends on Instagram and tag me at I am Jodi Minto so I can say thank you. And if you really want to make my day, please go ahead and leave me a review on Apple Podcasts and give me a follow. If you'd like my help in starting or scaling your online store, be sure to check out my free resources and programs at jodiminto.com. Thanks again, and same time, same place next week. Bye for now.